The fastest and most thoroughly grounded in physiology and neuroscience for calming down in a self-directed way is what's called the physiological sigh.
Financial stress, AI progress, and mental health challenges. There are a lot of reasons to feel stressed about today. This simple but practical method explained by Andrew Huberman has helped me to cope with stress the most. Enjoy.
You have a system for stress and you have a system for de-stress that are baked into you. They were genetically encoded. You were born with them and you still have them now. So if you're alive and listening, you have the capacity to control your stress. And today I'm going to talk about ways that you can control your stress, not just by doing some offline practice of meditation or breath work or something like that, but real-time tools that allow you to push back on stress when stress hits in real time. In the middle of your body, you have a chain of neurons that when something stresses us out, either in our mind or because something enters our environment and we see something that stresses us out that we don't like, heights if you're afraid of heights, somebody you dislike walks into the room, etc., that chain of neurons becomes activated like a bunch of dominoes falling all at once. It's very fast. Fundamentally, the stress response is just this generic thing that says, do something. And movement in this case can either be the bias to move in terms of action, or it can be the bias to say something. When we are stressed, we are more likely to say something that probably we shouldn't say. We are more likely to move, and if you're trying to suppress movement, you'll feel that as a tremor. You're going to feel agitated, and that's because it was designed to move you. So this is important because if you want to control stress, you need to learn how to work with that agitation. Here's what doesn't work to control stress. Telling yourself to calm down. In fact, that tends to just exacerbate stress. Telling someone else to calm down also tends to exacerbate their stress. If you want to reduce the magnitude of the stress response, the best thing you can do is activate the other system in the body, which is designed for calming and relaxation. And that system is called the parasympathetic nervous system. The fastest and most thoroughly grounded in physiology and neuroscience for calming down in a self-directed way is what's called the physiological sigh. If you want your heart to beat faster, inhale longer, inhale more vigorously than your exhales. So if you want to calm down quickly, you need to make your exhales longer and or more vigorous than your inhales. The physiological sigh was discovered in the 30s. It's now been explored at the neurobiological level and mechanistically in far more detail by Jack Feldman's lab at UCLA, also Mark Krasno's lab at Stanford. And the physiological sigh is something that humans and animals do anytime they are about to fall asleep. You also do it throughout sleep from time to time when carbon dioxide, which we'll talk about in a moment, builds up too much in your system. And the physiological sigh is something that people naturally start doing when they've been crying and they're trying to recover some air or calm down, when they've been sobbing very hard, or when they are in claustrophobic environments. However, the amazing thing about this thing that we call the diaphragm, the skeletal muscle, is that it's an internal organ that you can control voluntarily, unlike your spleen or your heart or your pancreas, where you can't just say, oh, I want to make my pancreas churn out a little more insulin right now. I'm just going to do that with my mind directly. You can't do that. You could do that by smelling a really good donut or something, but you can't just do it directly. You can move your diaphragm intentionally, right? You can do it anytime you want, and it'll run in the background if you're not thinking about it. So this incredible pathway that goes from brain to diaphragm through what's called the phrenic nerve, P-H-R-E-N-I-C, phrenic. The phrenic nerve innervates the diaphragm. You can control anytime you want. You can double up your inhales or triple up your inhales. You can exhale more than your inhales, whatever you want to do. Such an incredible organ. And the physiological sigh is something that we do spontaneously, but when you're feeling stressed, you can do a double inhale, long exhale. Now, I just told you a minute ago that if you inhale more than you exhale, you're going to speed the heart rate up, which would promote more stress and activation. Now I'm telling you to do a double inhale exhale in order to calm down. And the reason is the double inhale exhale, which is the physiological sigh, takes advantage of the fact that when we do a double inhale, even if the second inhale is sneaking in just a tiny bit more air, because it's kind of hard to get two deep inhales back to back. You do big deep inhale and then another little one sneaking it in. The little sacs in your lungs, the alveoli of the lungs, your lungs aren't just two big bags, but you've got millions of little sacs throughout the lungs that actually make the surface area of your lungs as big as a tennis court. It's amazing. If we were to just spread that out. Those tend to collapse as we get stressed. Carbon dioxide builds up in our bloodstream, and that's one of the reasons we feel agitated as well. And it makes us very jittery. I mean, there's some other effects of carbon dioxide I don't want to get into, but when you do the double inhale, exhale, the double inhale reinflates those little sacs of the lungs. And then when you do the long exhale, that long exhale is now much more effective at ridding your body and bloodstream of carbon dioxide, which relaxes you very quickly. The physiological sigh is the fastest, hardwired way for us to eliminate this stressful response in our body quickly in real time. I think most people have heard that mindfulness and meditation is good, exercise is good for us, we all need to be getting enough sleep, etc. But life happens. And when you find yourself in a position where you are more alert and activated than you would like to be, regardless of whether or not the stressor is relationship-based, or it's financial, or it's physical, or anything like that, you can look to the physiological sigh because it bypasses a very important feature of how we function, which is that it's very hard to control the mind with the mind, especially when we are in heightened states of activation. When we are very alert or very sleepy, it is very hard to use these so-called top-down mechanisms of intention and gratitude and all these things that are really powerful tools when we are not super activated and stressed or not super tired. When you're feeling stressed, the physiological sigh done just 1 to 3 times, so it would be double inhale, exhale, maybe just 2 times, will bring down your level of stress very, very fast. Heart rate will take about 20 to 30 seconds to come down to baseline. And you may need to repeat the physiological sigh a few times. You will notice that then your brain and your mind becomes more available for controlling the stress response and reacting to it, which is great because the sweet spot in life is to be, provided you're not trying to sleep, is to be alert and calm. And so that's the idea, is to be alert and calm and to bring you back into that sort of plane of alertness. For those of you that have trouble sleeping or just relaxing through the day, the physiological sigh can be repeated for 10, 15 cycles if you like. Some people find that it actually puts them to sleep. So if they lie down and they're reading and they do too many of these, that actually can put them to sleep.